Hello everyone. Welcome to Powering the Rapid Rise of NFTs on Solana by Metaplex Studios. I'm NF&Chanakarn Muangmangkhang from SCB 10X. I'm going to be your moderator for this session today. We're going to learn about the Metaplex Studios and the NFT development in Solana ecosystem. Together with me, I have Stephen Hayes, CEO of Metaplex Studios, the NFT marketplace infrastructure and enabler on Solana blockchain. Hi, Stephen. Good to see you again.
Hi, good morning, Net. Thanks for having me. And hi out there to everyone joining remotely.
Yeah.
I guess just to kick off and introduce myself, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of Metaplex Studios, and our mission is to empower creators with tools to build NFT experiences and communities. And so I think, as you know, we're best known for being the NFT standard in the Solana ecosystem, but looking forward to talking much more about the developments over this last year and what's to come.
Cool, sounds great. And before this, you were the head of product at the Solana Labs, right? Can you tell me a little bit more of your journey transitioning from Solana Labs to Metaplex Studios?
Yeah, absolutely. At Solana Labs, I had I was fortunate enough to work with Raj and Anatoly and the rest of the leadership team in introducing the Solana blockchain to the world. And I think it's hard to emphasize how profound of a breakthrough Solana represents from a technical perspective. And even post-merge, Solana will be a step function ahead of the other layer ones that are available. So we really view Solana as the best platform for creators and the only metaverse-ready blockchain to take us into this next era. At Solana Labs, we had the product organization had several major areas of focus. First was censorship resistance, so actually securing the network and expanding what we refer to as the Nakamoto coefficient, which is the number of nodes that could potentially halt or disrupt consensus. The second was the DeFi ecosystem. We view and continue to view Solana as the best global price discovery engine in the world. And that's allowed for the emergence of a really thriving and exciting DeFi ecosystem and services. Third was NFTs, which I've fully aped in. That's, all day, every day for us at Metaplex is thinking about NFTs in the metaverse. Fourth is gaming, which overlaps with NFTs. Payments, you may have seen the Solana Pay release over the last year, and then DAOs and governance. When I was at Solana Labs, I will say the phone was still very much an idea that was being kicked around. But as you can expect, I'm also incredibly excited about the Solana mobile stack and Saga and what that's going to unlock for the ecosystem and for Web3 broadly.
That's really cool and great to know about, the transitioning from Solana Labs to Metaplex Studios. And now Metaplex is the world's largest NFT ecosystem with 16 million NFT minted and more than 1 million monthly active wallets and $3 billion in NFT sales volume. Wow. How do you feel about it? And what is your next goal?
Yeah, no, it's still surreal hearing those numbers because we very much started from zero. And as I mentioned, Metaplex is best known for being the NFT standard in the Solana ecosystem. That was actually not our intention with Metaplex in the beginning. We had a very creator-focused mission, which was to elevate creators above the influence of traditional gatekeepers and giving them the ability to go directly to their fans. It just turns out that you need an NFT standard in order to actually execute on that. And so since then, in the same way that Ethereum has ERC 721 and 1155, the Solana community has rallied behind the Metaplex standard. And I pulled the latest numbers. We're actually at 17.5 million NFTs to date with 2.2 million unique collectors. So we're at this point, not only the largest, but the fastest growing NFT ecosystem in the world. And I hope we get a chance to talk about this more, but we also released the next iteration of this standard for public comment over the last couple of weeks, which we're calling the digital asset standard. which is going to dramatically move the ball forward on what's possible with NFTs, or what we're broadly referring to now as digital assets, which include semi-fungible tokens and fungible tokens.
Yeah, I understand that Metaplex recently announced this new digital asset standard that support like wider range of media forms. Right now, most of the NFTs are in like PFP or static arts, right? But I understand that you're going to expand it to more media forms like 3D animation, music. Can you tell me more about it? And any noteworthy projects you want to talk about that you found it fascinating?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk about the digital asset standard. And for those of you that are developers or just love NFTs and are interested in understanding what's coming next, would recommend that you visit our GitHub, where you'll find really detailed documentation on the digital asset standard that covers a number of these use cases. A few that I'll call out to highlight are, first, the enforcement of royalties at the contract level. So today for NFTs, the ongoing royalty streams are a really important lifeline for projects and give them the ability to continue to reinvest in their brand. But from a technical perspective, there are ways of bypassing those royalties, and we're starting to see more marketplaces emerge that are ignoring the royalty construct. And so the digital asset standard is going to provide new protections for creators and the ability to collect royalties. Second, we're introducing compressed NFTs, which we've been co-developing with Solana Labs over the last 6 months, with an eye towards the opening of social media platforms, and specifically Instagram. We're contemplating a world where we're minting millions of NFTs a day, if not every hour. And compressed NFTs are going to allow us to batch mint thousands of NFTs at a time for pennies. Third, we are going to be opening up new media formats and creating standards that allow for interoperability and composability of new digital asset types. So music NFTs we're really excited about, but it'll also allow for content distribution of a number of different types and provide standard formats that games, applications, and marketplaces can use. And then lastly, it'll allow for fusion, which is NFT composability, where individual NFT attributes can be traded. And so in the way that we approach all of our work, we take a very creator-centered and community-centered approach to how we build. So we build open source. We like to bring in creators really early into the process to help shape these ideas. So if you're interested in being part of this process, please comment on GitHub or send us a message at creators@metaplex.com, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
In any NFT projects that you find is fascinating, do you want to talk about that is developing this new digital asset standard?
So we're at the early stages where it's interesting. Those questions are tough for us to answer because there are so many amazing projects in the Solana ecosystem. As it relates to the digital asset standard, we've been hearing from many of our top collections about concern about the ongoing enforcement of royalties. So I'm not sure I feel comfortable sharing those names specifically, but if you go to the top 10 NFT collections, these projects really depend on royalties in order to continue to invest, and so that's an important topic. And we have a number of partners that we're working with now to help implement that component of the new standard. For compressed NFTs, as I mentioned, Instagram will likely be the first, if not the major customer and user of that service. They've already announced their support for Solana NFTs. And this allows a platform like Instagram to provide free minting of NFTs to all of their users because the cost is so low. I actually can give one specific shout out on the music format, which is to our friends at Integral Studios, Chuka and Vlad, who are developing a project called Beatstand. And they've been an important part of shaping the music standard. Our head of partnerships, Ash Pampatis, was in the leadership team at YouTube Music. And so in a weird way, the musicians are slowly taking over the building, which I kind of like. So expect to see music at the forefront of the new standard as it rolls out as well.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned about working with big projects and big names of artists. So I understand that you have partnered with Coachella earlier this year to launch the lifetime Coachella passes and collectibles. And you also work with like Steve Aoki and Todd McFarlane for Odd Key Marketplace. How do you see the partnership with big names will support the adoption for Metaplex?
It's a great question. When we look at partnerships, we actually break it down into two categories. We have what we'd refer to as creator partners and then channel partners. Sometimes creators get large enough that they become channels. And actually Oddkey, the project, the collaboration between Todd McFarlane and Steve Aoki is an example of that. Todd McFarlane is known for drawing and creating the Spawn universe, as well as some of the most classic comics of our time, including Spider-Man and Venom. Steve Aoki, if you're into NFTs, you've definitely seen his name. If you're into house music or electronic music, you've certainly listened to his records. And they put together a platform that they're launching with their own creative work that is providing a spotlight for new independent artists. And they're actually one of the creators that we connected with very early in the inception of Metaplex, because they share that same ethos of supporting independent artists and small creators. And so Oddkey is definitely one to check out. I'd recommend staying close. They have some amazing drops coming up. And then Coachella as well, a really early partner along with the team at FTX. So we had a chance to collaborate with them on the Coachella activation. We also did the Lollapalooza NFT activation, which was Live Nation's first project in the NFT space. And really excited about breaking out of the crypto bubble, like getting out of Twitter and into real life. And I think we'll see NFTs in our day-to-day life more and more, and really excited about how that's going to build a broad tent in crypto and bring in new users that will be learning about crypto and blockchain for the first time.
Yeah, really excited to, experience all of the new things that NFT can provide. And, what about like the community and marketing support from the Metaplex studio? Since the NFT creator now can create their own storefront, they can, have their own URL for their own marketplace, for their own project. How does Multiplex support and promote independent artists to reach more audience or to reach more potential buyers?
So I'll be honest here, this is an area of growth for Metaplex right now. To date, we focus primarily on removing the product and technical hurdles to launching NFT projects. And as a result, there have been several marketplaces and launch pads that have been built on our contract that have stepped in to close that gap. And so today, really the answer is that if you have your own audience, whether that's on social media or as a brand or a company, you can use Metaplex to quickly spin up and launch your project and market through your existing channels. If you're a smaller creator, it's really the marketplaces like OpenSea and Rarible and Fractal and Coral Cube that are all running on Metaplex contracts that are doing a lot of the hand-to-hand work. But ultimately, we're a creator-focused project. And so we're thinking deeply about new ways to help creators with marketing and outreach and community development. And this will be a focus area for us moving forward. I'd say that the biggest piece of feedback that we hear from creators, especially in our Discord, if you've ever been there, is I need a developer. Like, love what you're doing, but I need a developer that's actually going to help me build this project. And I can say with confidence that we'll be solving that problem in a deep way and encourage everyone to stay tuned for new work coming out of Metaplex Studios over the next couple months.
Yes, Metaplex allows like creator and artists to have can launch NFT without friction, right? Because there's little to no code, low fees, speedy transaction, and no middleman, right? So I'm wondering about your monetization plan, because are you trying to shift power from the middleman to the artist? So what do you plan for, the monetization?
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because, when we look at the numbers that we were talked about before, we've facilitated over $3.5 billion worth of commerce through the assets that have been created with the Metaplex standard. But we also provide our own contracts for the primary and secondary sale of those assets. So Candy Machine is one of our most popular programs has been used to launch every major profile photo project in the ecosystem. We have limited editions, open editions, fixed price sales. These are different contracts for launching your collection. And then for secondary trading, we have a protocol called Auction House, which will be introducing a layer on top called Open Market that allows for the buying and selling of these assets from collector to collector. And so we look at ourselves as like a GMV or a gross merchandise value type protocol. I would look at us as like a decentralized commerce platform. So the most obvious place for monetization is to introduce fees as creators and developers are selling NFTs either for the first time or through secondary trading. We could introduce fees in the minting program. We have no plans to do that. Ultimately, these decisions will be made by our DAO, by the Metaplex DAO, but the most obvious path to monetization would be to introduce fees at the contract layer. But we are erring on the side of growth. And for the core contracts, like Candy Machine and Auction House, I personally believe that we should be keeping fees at zero or close to zero indefinitely and looking to monetize on some of the supplementary contracts that surround that and really indexing off growth. The second path for monetization for us will be to build revenue generating businesses on top of the protocol. So the protocol stays open source, it stays free to use or with really low fees. And then we look to build additional services that help people use the open source protocol or provide additional services and products on top of it.
I see. And do you have any plan for multi-chain? Any specification of the chain that you're looking for to go next, if you have one?
We don't have any plans to go multi-chain in the sense that for managing the asset ownership and state transitions, we have no plan to move that off of Solana. I will say, though, that we are today multi-chain in a way that the storage of the media, the actual image files or the content of NFTs are largely stored on blockchains like in decentralized storage services like Arweave and IPFS. So in a sense, we are multi-chain. We're not ideological about Solana, but ultimately we have no reason to move off of Solana because it's providing us leading performance, and we're confident that not only that will continue, but that gap will widen.
I see. And I know that you come to like Asia often, and I'm wondering, like, what do you think of the NFT scene in Asia or in Thailand in particular?
Yeah, I love it. My wife grew up in Bangkok, and so we try to come back as much as we can. It was about once a year before COVID, and I love Bangkok. It's just the energy of the city is infectious. It's a really progressive city and community in terms of tech adoption and NFTs, and it's highly networked. And I expect that we'll see incredible work, not just from the creator community within Bangkok, but from developers and entrepreneurs as well. I also, think that we're seeing similar progressive development in Seoul and South Korea, in Japan as well. Japan's interesting because there's such a strong culture around collectibles. And so I think I think there'll be a natural audience for NFTs as the technology becomes more available. So yeah, I'd love to spend a lot of time in Asia. We'll be at Korea Blockchain Week, and we continue to look for ways to support developers and creators in Southeast Asia and internationally. So again, if you're listening to this and you want to get involved, please send us a message at creators@metaplex.com, and we'd love to hear from you and learn how we can be more supportive.
Yeah, looking forward to buy the comic cover NFTs from the Japan and Asia market.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually our time is start to running up. So I would like to throw you the last question, the future of NFT. What do you think of the future of NFT and the NFT marketplace? Some people say it's a fad. Some people say NFT is dead already, but some people say it's revolutionary. So what do you think?
I definitely think we're in the very early stages of the technology. NFTs provide a fundamental and core concept to the Web3 ecosystem. When I see profile photo collections, or what we call art and collectibles, what I actually see is the beginning of Web3 social media and social networking. And I think this is going to have profound implications on how we communicate, how we organize, and how collective action is executed in a distributed fashion. And so right now, most of these profile photo communities are just crypto. It's very insular. It's they're communities of people who are just really into crypto. And I think what we'll see is an expansion and a diversification of different communities, profile photo communities, NFT communities that are in different geographies, different language markets, different affinities, organized around different shared goals and shared interests. So I think PFPs are actually much more profound than people give them credit. I don't think they're a fad. I actually think they're a revolution as it relates to social networking and the group organizing and collective action. Beyond that, I think we will see the introduction of a number of new primitives in the way that content is distributed. So music will go on chain and start to be published on chain. Video, we'll start to see physical assets being tracked on chain through NFTs. And I'm really excited about this period of development because I think there'll be a lot of experiments. I think, there are probably ideas that I have now that are going to end up being wrong. And there'll be others that I would have never expected that will become the next big thing. And so we try to take an open mind and an experimental view to that future. And that's the best type of product work. As a creative, as an entrepreneur, that's what you hope for, is that type of wide open creative space with a lot to prove and a lot to earn when you get the ingredients right.
Interesting. And with the current market condition, do you see any changes in behaviors of the user?
So interestingly enough, we've seen a steady engagement. Obviously, if you look at the actual economic numbers, when you're 80 to 90% down on the value of native protocol tokens, your gross merchandise value and your revenue numbers are going to go down significantly. I think we take the view that the current economic conditions are very serious, both from a macro perspective and what we saw within crypto, with the system failure of Luna, that exposing underlying demand side weakness with these highly leveraged traders and lenders, and the macro conditions with inflation, tech stocks crashing, et cetera, do create headwinds for NFT projects. Because as much as we like to talk about crypto being an inflation hedge and a store of value, it's also a luxury item for a lot of people. So when economic conditions get tough, Like an NFT is just not at the top of the list of where people are going to be spending money. But what we have seen is resilience because these NFTs have real value to people. They represent their identity within these social groups, and that's meaningful to them, independent of what's happening within crypto. And then we also expect gaming to be a really significant and large growth vector. And the value of those NFTs and those assets won't be tied to the underlying market conditions of the network that they're served on. They'll be more tied to the value that they're providing the gamers within that gameplay environment. So I really do think that NFTs are not just a long-term trend, but our fundamental building block to Web3, and we're very excited and grateful to be a part of it.
Definitely. I think this is a great time for creators and artists to build and experiment things. And I believe Metaplex Studios is a go-to place for people to build. Yeah. As our time is running up, do you have any closing notes to the audience? Like where to follow you and Metaplex Studios? Like, and where can the creators learn about launching NFTs on Metaplex Studios?
Absolutely. I would recommend everyone give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram. We're just at Metaplex. If you're a creator or a game studio working on an upcoming project and drop and want to learn about new creator tools that will be coming to market, please email us at creators@metaplex.com. We love to bring creators in early in the product development process and the design and discovery process as we're even conceptualizing what we'll be building. And so please reach out, and would love to get connected. And then we have a sort of a meme within studios right now, which is, hashtag read the doc. The digital asset standard is really a significant step forward. And we spent a lot of time detailing in this public proposal the vision for the next generation of NFTs. And so would love, just wide community input on that standard before we start bringing to market the first version, which we expect to happen over the next couple months. So please check that out. You can find that on our Twitter page. You can also find that on my personal Twitter, which is meta_Hess, and on our GitHub, which is Metaplex-Foundation at GitHub.
All right, please follow Stephen Hess and Metaplex Studios. Thank you so much, Stephen, for today. Today's session is really fruitful and inspiring. Hope to welcome you back again soon.
Thank you so much, Nat. Really appreciate it.